In fact, if I can just take a second and read this to you from what I have here in my notes, I think you'll find it fascinating. Because James Madison, at the age of 35, was one of the 55 delegates to the Constitution Convention in Philadelphia in 1787. All but 3 were church members, at a time when church membership actually meant something. Delegates came from all 13 colonies and labored from May until September, and it was never easy. Nothing like this had ever been done before, and each participant had his own idea on how to formulate a document uniting separate states into one federal government. By midsummer, the convention had reached an impasse. The delegates had come from north and south, from colonies large and small, and each member was quite certain as how to best proceed. The contention became so intense that Madison, the chief architect, later said, "Without the natural intervention of Almighty God, we would have never had a constitution." Some have called what happened the miracle of Philadelphia. One morning, as temperatures rose and tempers flared, Benjamin Franklin, at 81 years of old, the oldest member of the delegation, rose to remind his colleagues of God's sovereign protection during that Revolutionary War. He stated, "In the beginning of the contest with Britain, when we were sensible with danger, we had daily prayers in this room for divine protection. Our prayers, sir, were heard, and they were graciously answered. All of us who were engaged in that struggle must have observed frequent instances of a superintending providence in our favor." The Reverend Franklin pressed on, "And have we now forgotten this powerful friend, or do we imagine we no longer need his assistance?" With determined boldness, the great statesman continued, making this impassioned plea to the President of the Convention, George Washington. He stated this, "I have lived, sir, a long time, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? I therefore beg leave to move that henceforth prayers imploring the assistance of heaven and its blessings on our deliberations be held in this assembly every morning before we proceed with our business." Well, Roger Sherman of Connecticut, a magnificent Christian, seconded Franklin's motion for prayer, and Edmund Jennings Randolph of Virginia proposed that a sermon be preached on Independence Day, July the 4th. Deliberations were suspended on June 28th, and for the next 3 days, our founding fathers fasted and prayed. When they returned on July 2nd, contention had been replaced by a spirit of unity. The deadlock was broken. The representatives went on to write the Constitution, tying together 13 colonies in one indissoluble bond called the United States of America. What a beginning. This country was founded on fasting and prayer. In fact, our institutions, our higher learning institutions, such as Princeton, in their rule book, it stated this, "Cursed is all learning that is contrary to the cross of Christ." Well, what has happened? In 1892, the Supreme Court stated this, "Our laws and institutions must be based upon and embody the teachings of the Redeemer of mankind." In fact, a law was passed adding "under God" to the Pledge of Allegiance when Dwight D. Eisenhower said this, "From this day forward, the millions of our school children will daily proclaim in every city and town, every village and rural schoolhouse, the dedication of our people to the Almighty." Well, what is America and who are we? We are one nation under God. Karl Marx said this, "If you take away a heritage of a people, they are easily persuaded." Today, we're not going to let that happen. We know who we are here in America. We are a people, for the people, by the people, and we are one nation under God. Thank you for joining us today. God bless you.